In episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we meet a man named Isaiah Bradley, who was another test subject for a super soldier formula similar to the one that made scrawny Steve Rogers into America's ass. The details at the start of Isaiah's origin story are remarkably similar to Steve's, but the similarities end very quickly. So why did Steve become a legendary hero and leader of the Avengers, while Isaiah spent 3 decades in prison as an unwilling test subject? Let's get some actual context. Sam and Bucky learn of a new breed of super soldiers working under the banner of the Flag Smashers. These young anarchists have somehow managed to obtain a serum that was impossible to replicate perfectly, and when it was copied poorly and took a lot of resources to accomplish. Abraham Erskine, the German scientist who made the super soldier serum, held part of the formula in his mind. So when he was assassinated right after the creation of Captain America, the formula in its most potent and pure form was lost. Steve Rogers was one of a kind. Or so it seemed. We've seen other super soldiers, including Bucky himself and the other Winter Soldiers who died at the hands of Zemo in Civil War. These were created using the latter generation formula concocted by Howard Stark, who was killed by the Winter Soldier while delivering the serums to S.H.I.E.L.D. That batch of serum was taken by Hydra and used to create the super soldier seen in Captain America Civil War. There's also the Hulk, which was created when Bruce Banner attempted a gamma-modified variation of the serum, unleashing his innermost rage personified as a savage monster instead. In the Incredible Hulk film, Emil Blonsky was given yet another janky serum from General Ross, then later modified by Bruce Banner's blood. This caused him to become an abomination both in name and form. That serum is clearly stated to be a bootleg super soldier formula. The Red Room in Russia, where Black Widows such as Black Widow are trained to be elite assassins, also dabbled in their own version of an enhancement formula. In the comics, Natasha Romanoff does have some enhanced abilities from a serum, and it looks like they may establish this in her upcoming solo film as well. It would make sense as to how she's able to perform some of the crazy stunts she does. The Russian super soldier serum that was given to Black Widows isn't as powerful as the American super soldier serum because... But there are more operatives out there who have taken the Russian version. So if Russia had its own super soldier program, and we know the US was constantly trying to repeat Erskine's success throughout the 20th century, it's entirely reasonable that there would be other test subjects we don't know about. Not only is this reasonable in the MCU, it's supported by real-life events. Isaiah Bradley was introduced in the 2003 miniseries Truth, Red, White, and Black, which told the hidden history of US attempts to make a new super soldier after the original Captain America. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Bradley is one of 30 test subjects who were all black men. They were told they'd have a chance to prove their worth by serving their country. Bradley is given the serum, but it's not nearly as pure and has severe side effects down the road. He and other black super soldiers are sent on covert missions, defeat evil scientists, and generally kick a lot of ass, without a word of press or praise. The black super soldiers are not given the accolades afforded to Steve Rogers. In Captain America the First Avenger, Steve gets tired of the dancing monkey routine performing at USO shows, and when Bucky is taken prisoner by the Nazi scientist Red Skull, Steve leaps into action. Despite being ordered to not go rescue his friend, Steve does it anyway. He steals a government-issued star-spangled shield and costume, a helmet, a gun, a jeep, and spirits away on a civilian aircraft to drop behind enemy lines at a crucial moment in the war effort. When Steve returns successful, he's given a little finger wag and a shrug. Then he's promoted. Disobeying direct orders, stealing government property, going AWOL, and engaging the enemy alone. And Steve Rogers was hailed a hero. A decade or so later, as Steve Rogers chilled in some ice, the black super soldiers were captured behind enemy lines. All but Isaiah Bradley, who stole a crappy shield and a spare Captain America suit and went AWOL to rescue his comrades. Bradley succeeded in bringing his brothers home, as well as another couple dozen POWs. However, Isaiah did all this without permission. When he returned, he was promptly court-martialed and sent to prison.
A couple of the boys get captured on a mission. I heard the brass talking about blowing the POW camp to hell to hide the evidence. But those are my men, my brothers, not evidence. So I bust out of the facility one night, and I brought them boys back. Not that it made a damn bit of difference. It wasn't long before it was only me left. And what did I get for saving their lives? They put my ass in jail for 30 years.
So let's recap. Steve Rogers disobeys orders, steals government property, returns home successfully, and when he gets home, he's promoted and leads the Allies in critical missions to take down the Axis war effort. Isaiah Bradley disobeys orders, steals government property, returns home, and when he is, he's imprisoned. Imprisoned for the exact same thing Steve Rogers did, to the letter. And Isaiah is locked away for decades. That's not even the worst part. Bradley was not only locked in solitary confinement, which is considered by the UN to be literal torture these days, he was subjected to lab tests, blood withdrawal, experiments, and abuse. This is of course fictional, right? And the US government would never engage in that kind of horrific treatment against any citizen. Right? If you agreed with that, maybe you aren't aware of the following real-life historical examples. In 1932, 600 African American men from Macon County, Alabama, were enlisted to partake in a scientific experiment on syphilis. The Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male was conducted by the United States Public Health Service and involved blood tests, x-rays, spinal taps, and autopsies of the subjects. The goal was to, quote-unquote, observe the natural history of untreated syphilis in black populations. But the subjects were unaware of this and were simply told they were receiving treatment for bad blood, when in actuality they received no treatment at all. Even after penicillin was discovered as a safe and reliable cure for syphilis, the majority of the men did not receive any treatment whatsoever. This eventually came out when a whistleblower, Peter Buxton, leaked information about the study to the New York Times. The paper published it on the front page, and soon after, 40 years after the tests had began, the Tuskegee study finally ended.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
Go on, son. Never bump.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
You know, it's hard for people to realize, and I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, you know, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
All right, partner. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is.
Yes!
Come here. Look at this. This stupid motherfucker's just begging to be got.
It's like I was made for this. Woo! Oh, I don't know if Bob's ready to be on yet. Whoops. Hey. Hey everybody. How you doing? How y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Cool. Oh, Blood Video Company, man. That was just, if you would have waited like 5 seconds to hit enter, you wouldn't have needed to do that. But I mean, I appreciate the effort, but man, like right whenever you hit that enter button on that message, it was like the video was going into it. You must not know my content too well. Of course I'm going to mention that. Of course I am. Because if I didn't, then this man would beat me. Hey.
Ha.
He'd beat me.
Well, at least Blood Video Company has good dramatic timing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but it's also just like, well, in case you didn't know, how about this? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I literally
actually, yeah.
No, it's appreciated, man. It was just fun timing. How y'all doing? It's been a while. Been a minute, you know? As in, let's see, 3 hours, something like that.
Did Adam and Sitch reach out to you to come and defend their?
What's funny about that is apparently they saw this, and I did this on purpose. I do, I like to fuck with these people, these chuds, just to see how they react. I put the I don't have to put the streams up a day early, right? I don't have to make them public and show exactly what I'm planning on doing, but sometimes I do, because I'm like, man, I'm gonna give them a little taste of it, get them a little nervous, maybe, you know what I mean, and see how they react. And I think I did get them nervous. I think I did, because this was sent to me afterward.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Where's that? Fuck me up the goat ass. For all you Adam Sandler 90s album fans, you know what that's about. Fuck me up the goat ass. Oh, not that. Okay. Here we go. How do I get on this hater stream? Our comic has been printed and it's being shipped to me now. I haven't had time to update the Indiegogo. Haven't had time to update. Dude, these motherfuckers paid you $83,000 fucking dollars, and you can't take 2 minutes to fucking shit out an update with misspellings and not knowing the difference between patience and patience. Come on.
What is he doing with his time?
Fucking flippy flopping on whether or not he's a Trump supporter.
What is he doing with his time that he can't?
That's what I'm saying. He's just spending his time trying to come up with justifications for why he spent several years saying Trump was bad. He did an insurrection. He's a bad guy. Not good. And then like the last couple of months before the election, he's like, I'm voting for Trump. So that's probably what I imagine he spends his time on. Haven't had time, and it's really irrelevant since we talk about the comic every day. So it's not really irrelevant, you fucking dipshit, because if I put a campaign out on a specific platform, like it wouldn't be Indiegogo, that's for sure. I'm going to follow up on that platform, and I'm not going to depend on people to come over to my YouTube channel. What if people don't like you, man? I'm sure that there's some of those people that are just like, well, I don't really like watching their show, or even let's just say they don't have the time to watch your show, but they wanted to get the comic book. Now they have to watch your fucking stupid, repetitive, garbage ass fucking show where you come up with fucking brain dead takes about, wokeness and SJWs and shit like that, just to get a fucking update on the thing that they paid for almost 4 years ago. Idiot. God, everything that comes out of this fucking guy's face is this dumbest, most dishonest shit I've ever fucking heard.
Well, if he watched the stream, he knows the answer to the question about how you get on the stream. Just send you an email or some other form of like private communication, and he can come on the stream and defend his business practices right now.
When somebody said that earlier, sentence, I checked my email. I'm going to check it again now, just in case. Maybe he figured it out later. Nope. I'm going to check the spam, just in case. Nope. Nope. I'll check all mail just to make sure. Nope. Okay, nope. And I've got no new Discord anything.
Well,
yeah, I guess he's not that
interested.
No, the reason
you'll be eating.
I've had this done before. This is exactly what Eric July did whenever a couple of years ago, whenever Iceman #1 was about to come out. And in fact, I have a graphic about it, because, and it's really telling that they have to get ahead of it. They can't even wait and see what I said. You know, I mean, I guess I called it a 4-year comic scam within the thumbnail, question mark. So, you know, I wasn't making a claim there necessarily, but let's see. I've got a graphic I made about Eric July back in the day-o, when I was making some of these graphics.
Well, hopefully you will be eating crow in January when he releases the comic, right?
I mean, look, man. I mean, I'm still not going to eat crow because there's several things there that, you know, like the fact that they fundraised twice as much, and then still were there all these roadblocks, which I understand do happen. I understand that. I'm not saying that that's necessarily lies or whatever, but like, why would you not just use that extra money? Like, holy shit, man, we made twice as much as we fundraised. That's fantastic. I should put some of this into the fact that we, you know, these road fucking bumps in the road that came up that stopped us from getting the book out on time several times for several years. We should put some of that money into fixing that. You know what I mean? Like, let's smooth the road a little bit. I'm sure that that's something that could be done if you cared to, if you respected the people that fucking gave you money. Yeah,
you could do what excuse me, Anita Sarkeesian did when she got way more money than she expected and said, hey backers, I want to invest this extra money in making the project bigger. What would you like me to do? And then like had a community engagement about how to best utilize the extra funds.
You evoked the demon, the name of the demoness.
I mean, many other backers have done that too. That's just like a algorithmically optimal one. But yeah, what struck me when I was listening to your stream on the way home today was, and watching it when I could, was I didn't see any evidence of them doing anything like that with their community and saying, you know, like saying, hey, we got twice as much money as we wanted, or we now have twice as much money as we wanted. We want to invest this in making more issues of the comic or something like that.
Well, I mean, they did say that they wanted to put out a number 2 issue immediately or right after the first issue. So if they do put out number 1 in January, I guess we're going to see the number 2, right? You know, because that's what they said they're going to do. It's like, so, and they said it was going to be black and white though, so they're already lowering the standards on the thing. That's great. Because apparently they're having a lot of problems with coloring. A lot of problems. Anyway.
Well, with that $83,000, they could pay someone to do that for them.
You really could. Like, I mean, honestly, they made $40-something thousand on top of the 40, you know, let's say that if you needed 40,000 to make it in the first place, good, great. That should have covered everything. Right? Now, granted, things come up. You've got an extra $40-something thousand. You could, if coloring became such a problem, I don't know how much it costs to pay a colorist, but like you presumably you could dish out a couple $1,000 or whatever the fuck it is to get a colorist to help you out to, you know, smooth down that timeline. But look at, I just want to show what Eric July did a couple of years ago. Whenever, so right before ISOM, or right after ISOM number 1 came out, rather, me and Little Movie Purple, like let's do a review of it, right? And so we're going to review the best comic, not political comic ever. And we put out a tweet saying this is what we're going to do on this day. You know, there we are being super fans. And he had pretty much immediately tweeted this. The same folks that have claimed myself and others are just rage tubers and grifters for covering / reviewing mainstream material while being constantly critical of it have now built channels doing it with the Rippaverse. The difference is I actually wanted the best for Marvel and DC. So there's so much bullshit in here, you know, it's nonsense. But like the main thing that pissed me off was the claim that I built my channel on the Rippaverse. Okay. But like, this is how he reacted to me just saying, we're going to review the comic. That, you know, we weren't even talking shit or anything. We were being a little bit tongue in cheek about like, oh, the best not political comic, you know, but like, that's about it. But that's how he reacted before I ever, you know, reviewed the thing. So did I build my YouTube channel his name? So I'd announced I'd be reviewing his new politically motivated comic ISOM. He made some false claims. part 2. We'll address other claims, but I never made a part 2 of this. I'm like, Ethan Van Sciver with his fucking comics on this shit, except nobody paid me, so it's okay. So I made 2 videos specifically focused on Eric and or his comics' deceptive marketing, and 1 short video addressing easily debunkable claims shared by he and various proponents of Comicsgate. Every mention of Eric on my YouTube channel has been since July 18th, 2022. Never said his name before that date. Okay. And these are the 2. This is the first one. This is the second one. Right. Despite the fact that he's built his comic brand by constantly lying about Marvel and DC, let's investigate. So, here's my tweet, by the way. It said, in a couple of weeks, the most important live AF ever, reviewing the most amazing, not political, Marvel intimidating, anti-woke, but definitely not political, industry rocking, spite driven, not understanding multiversing, ho-ass road fucking comic. Okay, so maybe I was talking a little bit more shit than I remembered.
Slight little bit of criticism there, just a little bit. Yeah.
I was more having fun at his expense than the comment. So launched my channel, 0 subs, October 27th, 2019. My first video on Eric, 5,162 subs is what I had. Eric tweets false claim against me, 5,764 subs. A fraction of the total. So 602 subscribers is the difference there. And, even if I wanted to be fucking really, really generous to him, which I don't, but I mean, let's say, okay, I got 600 subscribers from talking about Eric July, which is not true. I talked about a lot of other people in that time. Fraction of the total since I first said his name. By taking credit for my hard work to his fans, Eric negates any effect I may have in any of his fans, if any of his fans consider my criticisms. It's also meant to intimidate me, as his large audience currently harasses me on multiple social media platforms. Why would he lie about a much smaller creator before I even review his comic? He seems unconfident with his work. It's unclear why. So, I just wanted to point out that there's a similarity in how this goes down with this and then with the other one, the new one, because it's like, oh, he's gonna talk about my shit. I gotta call him a hater. I gotta fucking, just do my best to fucking make sure nobody fucking listens to a word he says. And just I gotta write the narrative right now. I gotta fucking fix that narrative before this motherfucker comes in and makes anybody doubt it. It's just fucking cult programming, man.
and really deep insecurity, right? Like, just put the book out and prove all your haters wrong.
Just put it out. Just put
That's all you got, man. You don't have to say anything.
We'll see in January. We'll see. As he says here, look, their fans know the score. We love our fans, and I'd eat broken glass before I'd scam any of them. I mean, bro, you scammed them for several years saying you fucking didn't like Trump, and then suddenly you're like, I'm a Trump voter now. Well, I mean, I think they did hire a colorist. I think that might have been part of the problem, but no, they don't do any financial planning. Like, they don't. No way. Their eyes are on the fucking bag the entire time, and that includes once they get the bag, and they're not. It's not like they're gonna be more incentivized to fucking create the thing and get it out there now that they've got the bag, right? Especially when people continue to stuff the bag. Why would they fucking work on anything? They got a bunch of money without lifting a finger. So in their mind, it's like, just keep doing that, which is nothing, and as I said, just rumor around the mill, rumor around the round table, around the grapevine is, and this is, a rumor that's from a pretty solid source, that they didn't have a story at all, and maybe still don't, but they might have a story. They might have a finished comic. We'll see. But for the longest time, they didn't have a story, and there was a big problem with who was going to write it. Originally, they were both supposed to write it, and I think one of them dropped out. And Sitch apparently didn't want to launch without a story in place, which is the right thing to do. He was right in that, as I've said before.
Yes, he was
the least shitty of the two of them, and he seems to have a sense of ethics and morality, even if sometimes it's kind of dumb. But still, he's better than Adam. And Adam, it was just like, nah, fuck this. Let's just get that bag, baby. And so they did,
Yeah. I know people who've run successful crowdfunding things, and for art, like movies or writing or whatever. And almost all of them have had about 80% of the work done before they launched anything publicly. And it was just pitched as, hey, this is finishing funds. We need to pay our artists who worked on this for us for months, or
let's
get final editing done.
for this real thing that I made that played before the stream earlier. It's only a couple of minutes, and we don't have to we can talk over it. But I just wanted to.
Look, we want to take over the entire platform of Facebook or Twitter, and
yes, right.
Then we dictate the rules. This is a safe space for us.
Right.
You
we want to take over Star Wars. We want to take over your media properties, and
you notice this is from just a few months ago, and there it is right there in the corner above the chat. Supervillains Anonymous. That's their comic that they're fucking still taking money in for.
Yeah,
shove in
and
our.
Isn't this from the stream where they initially were responding to all these conservatives in the screen up top talking about ending democracy?
And they just gloss over that and talk about how, oh, the left wants to fucking take over all the social media. That's what they're saying now, without mentioning the fact that Musk has done exactly that on the right. Now Musk is fucking up Trump's ass pretending to be VP, and Musk is literally like, I mean, they're so fucking, they can't be this stupid, right? They have to be being dishonest. I don't know. How do you look at the world and then still think that the left have any fucking chance of fucking owning a goddamn social media platform? They're complaining because they can't say the F slur, the N slur, or whatever the fuck everyone wants. So they can't call, I want to call trans women men, and like, oh, they won't let me do that. Fucking oppression, tyranny. Fucking.
I just think it's appropriate that Supervillains Anonymous is on the same screen with all of these clowns. I mean, it's a little on the nose, but I'll take it.
I mean, the only two anonymous guys are on the bottom, though. We don't know their names.
Philosophical values into them.
Right. You don't
see, they act like, oh, we want to put our philosophical value. They want to put their philosophical values into Star Wars and Marvel and stuff. It's like, no, man, we want to keep the values that have always been there.
Yeah.
Not let you put fucking fascist values into them. Not draw out the fucking humanity of the humanist values that have always fucking been there. Like they're lost, man. They're lost.
Feel safe. You feel like you could be deplatformed at any minute or fired from your job in a cancel culture mob. But look, we call it a safe space.
I love a good dream sequence.
So yeah, fully funded March 2021. Still accepting backers now. Last official update, August 2022. Claimed to be almost to printing stage several times since at least August 2022. I didn't look any further than that to see when they started claiming that. Still no book ship. Ship date pushed back yet again.
So it's been almost 4 years. Damn.
So he's talking about anatomy problems to fix. I want to remind you guys what they're talking about here. Does this look like the work of someone who's meticulously making sure that the anatomy is right? I mean, I guess if he's talking about the titties aren't big enough, they're not fucking cartoonishly big enough.
Is that supposed to be a TV reporter?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen a TV reporter dressed like that, but all right.
She's really angry too. It's really bad, man. Like it's not good shit. I mean, look, I will say this, and I said it earlier, Adam Friend does have artistic ability. He's got some art that is legitimately, unironically, in my opinion, pretty good on his website that has nothing to do with this shit. He's not a good comic artist, but he does have.
I was going to say it doesn't look like, it doesn't evoke any action. Like I don't get any sense of movement or.
Because it's not the point. The point is to make fucking jokes that are. You got to be so deep in the anti-SJW sauce to fucking think that any of this shit makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like it's basically them saying, "Look, we've been branded as bigots, and then we're going to crash into the bigotry store, but we actually accidentally crashed into the spooky costumes, and they're just calling us the KKK now." Like, oh, you fucking victims,
Oops, and we accidentally set these crosses on fire. Oops.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking, yeah, that's edgelord irony right there, man. Oh my God. See, this is where he says, well, we need another month of coloring. Printers in August. This was like 2022.
Saw we for the delay. How condescending, dude. Maybe this is why they had to take so long. They had to take all this time to update their memes in the comments.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, man, we're still calling shit SJW. We got to update that to say woke, and we got to put DEI in there too, because we just started saying that now. We got oh man, we've got a Hillary reference in here. We got to update that shit.
Oops, Kamala didn't win. What are we gonna do? Oh no.
And just to remind anybody.
And to the death, his right to do everything he does. The thing that I find unusual, and it's it's not a criticism so much, but his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power. Women and gays and immigrants are kind of, to my way of thinking, underdogs. And
see, and the thing is that these guys actually think that, and they probably still will, even when Trump is president for 7 terms, that women and gays and trans people, they're actually the ones in power. They're in cultural power or something like that. They're still going to fucking believe that shit. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt once, the fascism hits.
I think we're already seeing it. Maybe not from these two specifically, but a lot of the Trump supporters are being really sore winners all over social media.
And, he ought to be careful because he's Jewish. And a lot of the people who want to pick on these kind of groups, the Jews are on that list a little further. You got women, gays, gypsies, blah, 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 and then suddenly you find Jews. And Andrew,
Suddenly Andrew's arrested.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously he should do what he wants. And
why does he get away with it, do you think, then?
Well,
we have never laughed at jokes about the war.
He's appealing. I think he's appealing largely. I think his core audience are young white males who are threatened by these groups. I think a lot of these guys aren't sure their manhood because that's a problem when you're going through adolescence. Am I really? Could I be? I hope I'm not one of them. And the women who assert themselves and are competent are a threat to these men, and so are immigrants in terms of jobs and the
so that's why we as an audience then will laugh.
You say we. I don't think you're.
No.
But I think you're
collective we.
I think that's what is at the core of that experience that takes place in these arenas. Is a certain, a sharing of anger and rage at these targets. And I'm sure Andrew isn't that angry at them. I'm sure he's playing it as a comic.
Anyway. Oh, so let's talk about the news that Chris Evans has returned, will be returning, as if anybody really is super surprised by this. Some people seem to be. And some people seem to be taking some odd assumptions along with that, and I've chosen to approach this from a fan's perspective, a fan of the MCU, because I am one, and I want it to be good. I don't love everything that they put out. I finally, to be full disclosure, I just finally saw the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. It's pretty okay.
Yeah, it was. I think it was better than Captain Marvel, personally.
It was more fun, more interesting than that. It was at least something, interesting. And I also recognize that there's some stuff, some things in there that I can appreciate because I've got daughters. I've got, I'm not so fucking insecure in my manhood that if something isn't directly appealing to me that I'm like, ugh, why are they jumping rope? Shit like that. But some cute stuff, man. It's fucking cute. You know what I mean? It's not my shit, but it's I can recognize okay, and from what I understand, it's a very popular movie. A lot of people like it. A lot of girls liked it, and that's what matters. I can see the appeal of Kamala Khan, and man, I'm fucking up because now Kamala, because she's Kamala.
Mhm.
Kamala Harris. Not that she fucking matters anymore, Kamala Harris, but anyway. So like, yeah, is it something that moves me in the same way that Iron Man or Captain America Winter Soldier? No, of course not. Of course not. Those movies are made for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm perfectly happy to go. These movies are so made for me in so many instances that I'm okay with one that's just kind of that's pretty entertaining. I don't regret watching that, but it doesn't like fucking super connect with me. But if it does with other people, that's great. That's what I always mean by when I say ambassadors, not gatekeepers.
Right.
Like,
a movie doesn't have to be made for me in order for me to enjoy it. I don't have to be the target audience. I just have to have empathy and a willingness to go on a journey with someone I find interesting. That's it. I don't.
And then if you were to use that as the Marvels as an example and saying, or even Thor: Love and Thunder, which is not nearly as fucking woke or got girl power as people like to make it out, but like if you want to take those and say those are examples of Marvel's MCU is failing, they're going the way of the woke and it's going to be bad. Deadpool and Wolverine, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like you can't fucking you have to step back and go, oh, they're doing different types of movies. They're not, just because they did this one doesn't mean they're not going to come back with one of the fucking most dude bro-y movies you ever fucking seen. You know, like, which is what Deadpool and Wolverine is. Yeah, so get that shit out of the way, and I just wanted to establish that and say that I don't super love everything that the MCU does. I'm not a shill for it. Let's see, what didn't I like? I didn't really care for. There's nothing that's really made. I'm like, that's bad, but like Thor: Love and Thunder let me down a little bit, mainly because Gore did not butcher any gods. Wanted to see that. Moon Knight let me down a little bit because it did stuff I wasn't expecting. It was more of a comedic tone than I was expecting. The Moon Knight that I've read that I've really enjoyed was much darker. And it's like, but there's also Moon Knight comics that exist that are more of that lighter tone. So it's not like they changed it or anything. They just chose to do a different, inspiring comic than what I've preferred.
I can straight up admit I disliked Quantum Mania. I just did not like that movie at all. I wouldn't go so far as to say I hated it, but I did not think it was good, and I could barely sit through it. I didn't like Thor: The Dark World at the time it came out.
The same way that, like, if it was, like, honestly, if that was like an episode of a cartoon show, that would be a fucking great cartoon episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it was not. It was a fucking big budget movie that they, I mean, that's one of them. It's one of them. Like, I'm not going to revisit that anytime soon. The only time basically the way to, I think we should look at them is like, I'm going to be going through the MCU with my son before too long, and I will watch everything in it with him. You know what I mean? But if I'm that's the only way that I will go back to a couple of movies is if I'm dedicating myself to a full watch. And otherwise, the Eternals. I fucking love the Eternals. I think the Eternals. I love it. It's exactly like, honestly, it reminds me of a lot of stuff I've written about in my own sci-fi writing in the past. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I really connect with that Jack Kirby was about. Anyway, point being, it's not always going to be perfect. It's really easy to fucking take swipes at the fucking king. That said, it's understandable that they would be in a bit of a panic right now of how to do things, and people want to blame wokeness and girl characters and these forced diversity and all this shit. That's like, it's really not that. It's really that they ran through the characters that are known and loved and have been for decades. It's not that Captain America or Hulk or anything were as popular as Superman before. They kind of are now, probably, but like, everybody had a general awareness of those core Avengers. You know what I mean? They've been putting boxes and stickers and coloring books and shit like that for decades. Even if you didn't know much about the Hulk, you knew who the Hulk was. If you didn't know much about Captain America, you knew what he was. You know what he looks like. So that stuff is like kind of what was already permeated in the consciousness, the cultural consciousness. So when a movie comes out about them, you're going to have a lot of interest in it. So it's one of the things that they say about Shang-Chi being like, oh, a lot of people weren't hyped about Shang-Chi. And it's like, well, no, because Shang-Chi was not a character that had been, in the cultural fucking consciousness for decades, even though he'd been around that long. But then the movie comes out and a lot of people love it. And,
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't my favorite one, but it did have mostly, I really liked the ending. The final fight did some stuff that a lot of, it subverted a lot of stuff that those big battles often do.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much ran through the entire roster of characters they actually still had the rights to, the big names. Without the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and with barely being able to hold on to Spider-Man, they did a pretty damn good job of building the MCU for the first 3 phases or so.
It's understandable that Ms. Marvel is not going to be the biggest show ever. It's understandable that, but like the fact is, some of these characters, they're in the comics, they've been around for a while, and for comic readers, they know them well. They're just not iconic outside of comics the way that other characters were. And
so
there was going to be a natural fall off because of that. And then I do think that they made some mistakes in production, and they kind of got a little too big for their britches, I suppose. And Kevin Feige stopped being as hands-on with every project, and he started kind of just like, delegating, which you kind of have to do. But like, they made some mistakes. But one argument that I've always made is that if you look at the history of the MCU, first of all, they came from, they came out of nothing after being with the most fucking, the least optimal conditions for a superhero movie studio to have, being that they didn't have access to any of the fucking most popular ones. And so they fucking just took a chance on Iron Man. They took a chance on Robert Downey Jr. And they fucking found a story they liked. They found the actor that they thought was great, and they were right. And they fucking, they hit it out of the park, and the rest is history, except not really, because immediately the second movie didn't do so well. I mean, Iron Man 2 was not as well liked. Most people don't like that one very much. I think it's got its good stuff, but like, it is not as good as the first one. It's not anybody's favorite. And I think from there they learned very quick, okay, we can't just make a sequel now that we've made a super popular thing. We can't just like go, let's do a sequel and then kind of do what's expected, right? They learn quick, and that's what the thing that Marvel has always done with these movies is, from there they go, okay, what are we, when they put a lot right here, you can see the story of Marvel Studios right there. They put a lot of effort into making sure that Thor was right, because that was going to be the biggest challenge. It was the biggest hurdle for them early on. How do you make that make sense in the same context as Iron Man's universe, right? You have to do it in a very specific way. And I think they nailed it. The story isn't the most compelling one, but as far as like the aesthetic of Asgard, casting, stuff like that, they started off with a good block of wood with that first Thor movie that they eventually carved into something even better. You know what I mean? But like, they do well when the chips are down, is what I'm saying. Whenever they fucking, they kind of get a little too ahead of themselves, maybe the suits start calling the shots a little bit too much, and they make some errors. They bumble a little bit, So like, getting the first Avengers movie together is kind of a fucking miracle. From there, some of those sequels are really good. Captain America: Winter Soldier is very good. What else is there? Thor: Dark World, not very good.
No, not at all.
What else?
I mean, Iron Man and Thor, the Iron Man and Thor movies, typically, I would say the first one of each of those series is the best one. Ragnarok and Iron Man 3 are better than the immediate sequels that came before them.
That's what I'm saying. They look at what they're like, okay, this didn't, even though they still don't. Thor: Dark World is not a piece of shit movie. It's not like a garbage ass movie. It's just not as good as what it should have been, could have been, right?
It's just a workman-like movie. That's it.
Yeah, they were like, all right, let's fucking figure out a new approach to this. There's something here we're not hitting. Let's hit it. Taika Waititi, fucking hit it. Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people don't love that one. I think it's pretty good. I I think it's pretty.
It's better than Iron Man 2, man.
Every time I watch it, I kind of enjoy it a little bit more, honestly. And it's it's a Christmas movie, so maybe we'll watch it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watch it every Christmas, or most Christmases I watch it. But I dare say that this is what the MCU has done, is how you do diversity right. In the culture that we live in, they started with some established white male characters that had a lot of emotional and cultural investment and got people excited about those, and then slowly introduced more elements of more women characters, more characters of color, more. I think they've even had a few openly queer characters now, and they also slowly introduced more and more fantastical elements, expanding outward from that more grounded feel they had in Iron Man and Thor and Captain America.
Yeah.
And when you start expanding the net that way, you're going to make stumbles, of course. But at their worst, Marvel has not been anywhere near as bad as the Sony Spider-Man movies.
No. Has anybody seen Craven yet? How's that one?
I hear they're ending that universe now.
Oh, thank Christ. Give me just a minute. I gotta go check on something. So you're welcome to talk about whatever you got in the works.
Oh no.
Yep. Bob's in charge.
Okay. Hey, what do you folks want to talk about? Apparently aliens are invading New Jersey, it seems, or we could look at what chat has to say here. Let's see. So I think that the deal with the Hulk in the MCU is that Universal has the distribution rights for any Hulk movie that Marvel makes. Universal doesn't, as far as I understand it, doesn't actually own the rights to the character. Like Universal cannot make a Hulk movie, but Marvel can't make a Hulk movie without letting Universal distribute it. That's the way I understand it. So they keep putting the Hulk in other people's movies so they can maintain rights to the character. Which is sad because the Hulk is an awesome character. I think that they can probably make a She-Hulk movie if they wanted to, because they wouldn't have been able to make the She-Hulk TV show and distribute it on Disney if Universal had any say in that. But yeah, I don't want to start rambling about stuff that doesn't have anything to do with this stream subject. So I'll just, since we're segueing into Chris Evans coming back for an Avengers movie, I will just say that my general feeling on it is that I think there are some legitimate criticisms to be made, but also that I understand the creative choices that are available in doing something like that, because stuff like this happens in comics all the time. Characters are killed, quote, killed forever, we will be told, and then a year later or so, they're brought back from the dead in some way, sometimes less than a year. And there's always doppelganger characters turning up, alternate versions of characters from other universes and stuff like that. So it's not unprecedented to do something like that in comics. Why not do it in the movies too? And I think that Marvel has earned, in my opinion, enough goodwill to be given the benefit of the doubt on a decision like this. I think that they wouldn't have done it if they didn't have a good story idea to do something like that with. But on the other hand, it does look like a cynical cash grab, which shouldn't surprise anybody because we do live under capitalism and everything is a cynical cash grab under capitalism. So I've said my piece. When Dan comes back, he can have the floor.
Yeah, I'm back. I just had to grab some food.
Draven, I'm not sure Chris Evans is coming back as Captain America for the Avengers movie. They just said he's coming back for the Avengers movie. They didn't say what he's playing.
Well, so the whole thing that spawned this for me is Jessie Gender, who I don't want anybody to mistake me as being like, oh, she's a fucking terrible person or something like that. I think she's generally she's somebody who inspired me early on in my YouTube career. We've exchanged messages. She's told me a couple of years ago she really appreciates what I do. So, you know, I'm not gonna hate on her. You know, I just think that her, along with a few others, when it comes to the MCU, tend to approach things in the most unfair and kind of shitty way. Like, for instance, if I tell you, this fucking YouTuber said that, you know, Marvel's just doing nostalgia bait cash grabs now, and they're, you know, they're just going back to the well to just crank out crap for you, blah blah blah. Is that nerdrotic? Is that critical drinker? Is that Mahler? Or is that Jesse Gender? It could be any of them, and that's not good. You know, it could not. I mean, that's not good. I don't like that she kind of approaches it that way, and she doesn't seem to recognize that she's just kind of doing the same thing as they do, and you know, she's coming from a different direction. Sure, definitely believe she's sincere, even if she is, you know, kind of flawed in her analysis. And I'm not relating her to a chud in any kind of way. I'm just saying that the message there is not, it's not great. Whenever you can literally put any one of those names behind the quote, and it would work, more or less. You know, I was paraphrasing what she said, but that's generally the gist. And for one thing, the movie's not out for almost 2 years. For anyone to make any claim about what exactly this movie's going to be, I think you're already starting off. You know, I don't want to talk to you. I think you're not being a fan about it. I think, to me, being a fan is not assuming the best, but also not assuming the worst, and just going based on what we have as evidence for what could be going on. Now let's look at the evidence. Robert Downey Jr. has been cast. If you remember back whenever this was cast, this came out, I was not super happy about it. I was like, this feels weird. I'm not sure what the point is. But then I ultimately aired on, we don't know what exactly they're doing. So it's kind of silly to just take a fucking bold stance, a hard stance against it, whatever, or for it even. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we do know is that he's been cast as Dr. Doom. Now, with that in mind, does it seem likely that they're just casting Chris Evans as good old Captain America as we know him? They're going to ruin his fucking ending, which we know here's more evidence. We know Kevin Feige has respect for character endings because of Deadpool and Wolverine. And he refused to let it be the same Logan that died at the end of the movie Logan, because he knew that's fucked up. Like, that would be fucked up. Now he did let him, you know, kind of mutilate the corpse a little bit, but that's another thing. That's fine. As far as like the legacy of a character having an actor having an ending, I think Chris Evans' ending is beautiful as Captain America. I honestly, I would be kind of frustrated if they did just say this is the exact same Captain America, unless it's from that period of time before that ending happened for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's still
time hopping around.
There's still a lot. Yeah, he basically lived his entire life from World War II up until the present day, and was still Captain America. So there's a lot of narrative ground to do like prequels or flashbacks or something. And for all we know, he could be coming back to play old Steve and be a mentor to somebody, or he could be like Hydra Cap as a variant, or like not a Captain America character at all.
I don't have any reason.
Entirely new character.
I don't have any reason to believe that this is what's going to happen. I don't have any evidence, rather. I do have cause to believe it might be one of the things that they've considered or decided here. First of all, let's think about the fact there's at least 4 months between the casting of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me that after RDJ, they said, okay, what can we do with this now that can kind of, you know, so I'm fairly confident that the Chris Evans recasting is contingent on whatever they're doing with Robert Downey Jr. and Dr. Doom. So picture this, because a lot of people seem to think this is just, they're bringing back Chris Evans as Captain America. He's going to be Captain America. They're going to do an Avengers movie all over again. It's going to be basically the same thing. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Of course they're not doing that. What they're probably doing, most likely, in my opinion, and I hope this is what they're doing, is they're going to do evil Captain America, possibly Hydra Captain America, along with Iron Man, Doctor Doom, right? And they're going to have the new class of Avengers fighting their heroes. Now, that doesn't, probably also going to be an appearance of a heroic version of Iron Man, because once again, I don't believe they're going to bring back that Tony Stark. I don't think they'll do that. I think Feige recognizes how important that death was. They worked too hard for it. You know what I mean? Like they actually literally fashioned it after the Logan death. They were like trying to hit that level of like, we got to hit a good death here. And so I don't think they're going to fuck with that. I think they might bring back a heroic Tony Stark, maybe younger, who knows, to kind of help out in the end or whatever. And same thing with Captain America. That might happen, but it won't be the same one. Or in Captain America's case, we've got a whole period of time when he was hopping around different fucking realities, taking those stones back, that he could theoretically appear and it would not change his ending whatsoever.
Right.
You know what
like
I mean?
One thing I thought of immediately was there would be like maybe some kind of prologue or prequel scene where something that Cap did while he was returning the Infinity Stones sets in motion the range of events that leads to Doomsday and Secret Wars, or whatever the movies are going to be called. Right? Like something Cap did with the Infinity Stones while returning them causes a problem with reality unraveling or whatever. That's something they could do.
Yeah, I mean,
or he may not be playing Cap at all. He could be like an entirely different person.
You're right, but I mean, and I think they'll do that. I think that's what Doomsday is mostly going to be. I don't think Doomsday is going to be the one where they bring everybody back, or have the big battle. I think Doomsday is kind of going to be the coming together of a lot of these characters. If there's not something before that causes it, we don't know. They could announce something else. It could happen in a surprising show or movie that's not come out yet. But I think that there's a lot of room for narrative weight, emotional fucking punch, resonance for the kids, so to speak, because I know Ant-Man's going to be coming back. Technically, he's going to be one of the Avengers too. He's probably going to be kind of a leader. I know that there's a lot of fucking room for good storytelling there, good character moments, good, imagine fucking Sam Wilson having to fight evil Captain America, Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? That's not going to be easy. There's character shit there to work through. There's some fucking, there's some narrative frustration that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So
or Bucky having to fight, Bucky fight an evil Cap would be
absolutely
a nice reversal of their two roles there. I will say, I do think there is cause for Jesse Gender and like other trans people to be mad at Marvel over the things that Marvel's been doing recently.
Like what?
Like the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur thing. Like they've been kind of distancing themselves from the queer community a little bit.
I don't think that that's what happened there.
And
I don't think that's
whether that's what happened or not, that is the perception that people are working with and responding to that perception.
I mean, they should look at the facts though, because the facts are that is one of 10 episodes that have not aired yet. And the show was canceled previously. The only reason that anybody thinks that this has something to do with that specific thing is because a couple of creators who, they may feel like they are right to say so, that's the reason it was pulled or whatever. And I just don't, it seems more likely that the show that had already been canceled, and there are also several other episodes that have been pulled. Also, this is the only episode, Gatekeeper, the one with the trans character, the coming out of the trans character, that has existed in the show previously, by the way. It's not like the character hasn't been around, but it is the one where the character comes out, apparently. That has been unofficially released on YouTube, that whole episode. It's the only one of those unreleased episodes that has been unofficially released. So, I just don't see, like, I understand there's a lot of fucking hurt going on right now and a lot of fear, and it's fucking valid with this, the election and everything. I just don't see that going at Marvel, because Marvel didn't make this decision. Disney made this decision. You know what I mean? So if you want to be mad at Disney, just add it to the list of reasons to be mad at Disney. But like, I don't see the connection in going after the MCU and assuming the worst for this movie based on that. It just seems like a stretch to me, and it seems like kind of lashing out of pain. And I recognize the pain. I recognize the validity of the pain, but I also recognize that it doesn't seem connected to me.
Yeah.
So
I I can't
I
speak for the queer community, so I'm not gonna. I won't presume to do so.
I can't either. I mean, I can speak for.
No,
I mean,
I'm just I'm just saying I'm
Jason.
not going to like offer a defense of a position that they may not hold. I just wanted to point out that that seems to be the root of at least some of the criticism that's being bandied. Like some people are using the Chris Evans news as a hook on which to draw in audiences to the discussion about queer people in their treatment in the MCU, and just using Chris Evans as like a an algorithmic hook to get people into that conversation.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I wonder if Jesse has seen Agatha all along, which is admittedly is not about trans characters, but I mean, it is pretty damn openly queer positive, and
yeah,
like the literal climax of the show, spoiler alert, is two women who have been hurt by each other long for hundreds of years and stuff, kissing for a good minute.
Yeah.
The new character is a queer character from the comics. I mean, it just I have to be evidence-based as much as I can, and I see more reason to think that it's kind of just an unfortunate fucking situation that all of those episodes got canceled or pulled or whatever, and that happens to be one of them, and that somebody, I don't know who, if somebody wants to look into this, somebody unofficially released it. I don't know what channel it's on. I don't know how they got it or if it was what, but
see, the story that I've been seeing is that episode was pulled from, like, yes, the show was canceled, but that episode had been pulled from the release schedule entirely, and was not going to be released in any way, not even unofficially or whatever.
All episodes had been pulled like that.
What's that?
All of the remaining episodes were in that situation.
Right. That I get, but that's not what the story that I have been hearing. What I've been seeing I haven't followed the story and dug into it, but what the narrative I've been seeing is that Marvel pulled that episode specifically because they were worried. And I think I've seen a quote going around attributed to some Disney executive.
No, you've seen a quote attributed to someone who worked on the show.
Okay, someone who worked on the show.
So you trust Polygon? Polygon's pretty good. Disney reportedly pulls Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur episode over trans athlete story. That could have happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not fucking what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to take that position. I'm just saying, it's let's look at the facts we got here. Artists imply the decision was made over political climate. Now, are artists in the know on production and episodes are being released and which ones, why they're being released? Do you think that they're going to be the most in the know on this stuff?
Sometimes they are. I don't know in specific cases, but
an unreleased episode of Marvel Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur won't air on Disney Channel over its politically sensitive LGBTQ themes, people who worked on the show say. So it's a Tumblr post here. So I guess I finally got hit with one of the projects I worked on is getting shelved because of which party that won the recent election. So this is one person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but are the rest of the episodes not getting aired either? Because sometimes when a show is canceled, they'll just finish out the season.
Well, let's finish the report here.
Okay.
So we saw that seems to be just one person, and I understand that person is probably very freaked out. I am too, not for the same reasons, but I mean for the same reason. I'm just not living it like you. This person probably is. I sympathize, but yeah, people who worked on the show. The episode is about recurring character Brooklyn, a trans classmate of Lunella Lafayette, Moon Girl, competing in a girls' volleyball game, and a narrow-minded coach who tries to have Brooklyn barred from playing. Early in the episode, the gatekeeper, Brooklyn recalls her time spent playing soccer in the darkness of me having to play on the boys' team. Brooklyn's comments about her athletic past are overheard by the opposing team's coach, Greer, played by Amy Sedaris, who tries to have the teenager disqualified from the game, but Brooklyn's coach, Coach Herbeck, tells Greer Brooklyn is a girl and she's going to play. The episode then veers into supervillain territory as Greer uses a magical key to confine Brooklyn, her teammates, and Water Girl Lunella in the girls' locker room. Brooklyn, who is voiced by actor India Moore, identifies as trans to her peers in the episode. "I'm trans. My very existence breaks Greer's rules," she tells her teammates before breaking down into tears. Her trans identity is further communicated through imagery. Brooklyn wears Pride-themed knee pads and has the "Trans is Beautiful" sticker on her water bottle. The episode's color palette is saturated in hues from the transgender flag. Its themes of prejudice, exclusion, and finding support through progressive allies are unmissable. Artists who worked on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur took to social media this week to lament that the episode had been shelved because of which party had won the election. Likely referring to Donald Trump winning the presidency, blah, 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 blah. Conservative politicians have campaigned to ban, According to a source at Disney, the decision to hold the episode of Moon Girl was made more than a year ago and was not based on the result of recent U.S. elections. That source said that, in this case, this decision was based on this specific episode, not because of the character being trans. They said the episode is not specifically banned from airing, but being held. It's unclear if the episode will ever see an official release. The source said that Disney is really proud of Moon Girl, noting that the target age range kids and the company is respectful of the role the parents play. The Gatekeeper was one of the handful of episodes still to be aired as part of Moon Girl's Season 2. While the animated series was canceled earlier this year, Disney and Marvel still had about 10 episodes in the tank. And though The Gatekeeper may never officially air, on Friday, the full completed episode was uploaded to YouTube unofficially. So,
okay, but that didn't really answer my question. Did the rest of the episodes get aired? Because sometimes when a show is canceled, they'll finish out the current season and then just not make any more. So none of that, they haven't?
I'm pretty sure, no.
Yeah. And also the response from the Disney executive.
It says Insider.
What?
It says Insider,
Disney,
not executive.
Disney Insider. Okay, Disney Insider was kind of vague. I mean, if it was pulled a year ago, that's okay. But that doesn't say that it wasn't pulled for like fear of a transphobic backlash or something, right? So it's still possible.
No, it does say that. It does say that. It says all of these episodes were pulled because the show was canceled. None of them have been yet. None of them have seen.
But it says, scroll back down to that paragraph. Where the Disney Insider said that this specific episode. Oh, I think it was further up, but it seemed like the person said that the episode was pulled for specific reasons, but not for the trans reason, but they didn't give the actual specific reason.
I'm going to Disney Plus app right now. Hold on. I mean, you don't have to hold on. You can talk.
Yeah. So like, I think it's the paragraph immediately above the one that's currently at the top of the screen, but if I may have misunderstood it, right? The decision to hold the episode of Moon Girl was made more than a year ago and was not the result of recent U.S. elections. The source said, in this case, this decision was based on this specific episode, not because of the character being trans. What does that mean? They said the episode is not specifically banned from airing, but being held. What does that mean? It's unclear if the episode will ever see an official release. So they say that it was pulled for this specific, the decision was based on this specific episode, but not because of the character being trans. So what is the specific reason? They didn't, that's what they're being vague about.
Well, it's okay. So the,
I mean, if the rest of the episodes in the season didn't air or are not going to air, that's one thing. But if the series was canceled and all the rest of the episodes of season 2 were aired except this one, then I think we have a problem there.
So there are 2 seasons up on Disney Plus. The first season has 16 episodes. The second season has 14. I don't know what that means.
And The Gatekeeper is not one of them.
No.
I assume.
No.
Right. So if the decision to pull it was made a year ago, fine. That has nothing to do with the current election, obviously, at least not directly. But the answer by the Disney insider here doesn't really clarify what the reason was.
No.
It denies that it was because of the trans narrative.
Well, I mean,
but
it
says it was pulled. I mean, it could be any number of reasons. Like maybe it was too long. Or
I mean, I don't believe. I mean, I believe that if it was cut specifically as that episode was cut, it was cut for that reason because of the transit stuff. I believe that. That's probably the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
I still am of the mind that I don't think that it's, I think that it's understandable pain, but not understandable conclusion to go. Therefore, Avengers Doomsday is going to be shitty nostalgia bait product.
I agree with that. Yeah, those two things don't necessarily follow from each other.
I do think,
but somebody could be worried that, and I'm just spitballing here. This is just speculation. I haven't seen anyone make this argument, but they could be worried that bringing RDJ and Chris Evans back into the Avengers story could be a signal that Marvel generally or Disney generally is going to move away from the rainbow capitalism they've been giving us and back towards more conservative or conservative coded casting.
Kind of one of the things I was thinking about is like people complain about rainbow capitalism, validly so. And that's kind of to me what this show is, even if it was, it did have all that. I mean, it kind of still seems like Disney doing rainbow capitalism. It's like, let's say that it was made for the decision. The decision was made because of who won the election. Could it not also be that was made so as not to have this be used as a centerpiece to fucking, have something to rile people up and I mean, because honestly, trans people are going to have to keep their fucking heads down, dude. I hate to say it. I mean, I don't see any other thing to say except that I don't believe it's going to be a good time to be just like, let's go fucking be proud and
it's all the time. It's a survival move.
Right. I'm sorry, man. I love a lot of trans people. I value trans people. I value trans lives. And I want them to fucking be safe. And maybe it's a good thing that this fucking rainbow capitalist shit, Moon Girl fucking child show isn't going to give conservatives another fucking piece of ammo to go, look what they're trying to do to our kids. Now that Trump is going to be in office and there's going to be probably very little prosecutions or anything for harm done to trans people. Not to mention the fucking legislation and stuff that's about to come down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have to fight. Yeah, that's the problem, I think, with rainbow capitalism, right? Because they're not going to fight. We need people to fight to protect trans people.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and this is separate from the fucking, I know anybody that sees this that's opposed to this episode or opposed to the MCU is going to see me as doing this for the same reason that I'm like just defending the MCU. Fuck no, man. If I could fucking kill the MCU to fucking protect all trans lives, I would do that in a goddamn heartbeat.
Hear, hear.
And it's not that. I'm seeing these as two separate things, and I'm seeing that this just came to me as I'm thinking about them a minute ago. I'm like, fuck, dude, maybe this is what's best. Maybe right now the last thing we fucking need is rainbow capitalist media people who don't actually really give a shit, Disney included, going, hey, let's make another little trans thing for the kids and stuff. It's like, that's exactly the kind of shit that fucking monsters are going to be using to justify monstrous fucking behavior.
Right. But they're going to do that anyway. I mean, and we both know that. And I think, so what I was trying to say is that I think the concern is that bringing Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. back is going to lead to more conservative coded casting and like a decline in, like they're going to try to like pivot back to just having all white male lead characters, I think is the concern.
I don't think they're lead characters. But I mean, also
these two aren't. But I think they're taking that as a signal, or some people could be taking this as a sign of things to come.
This kind of ties back into what I was saying about the fact that these characters are new and stuff like that. Is that to the general audience is that it's just kind of crappy coincidence that the new characters are all like it's all tied up in this fucking goddamn culture war garbage bullshit that like. If the company is making a decision because they just feel like these new characters, and I don't say that, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying that like we can't even, it's always going to be tied together now. You know what I mean? And it's fucking sucks. Like maybe they just don't believe that the characters, including the white ones, you know, the white boy characters, whatever the fuck, you know, you got Ant-Man, you know, he's still going to be in. You got, you know, Brie Larson, all this stuff. Maybe it's just that they don't have the confidence in the characters, and that therefore they're going to bring back the characters and the actors that are known and loved. And that just so happens that those are on fucking racial and gender and stuff lines. And that sucks that we can't separate the two. We can't know for sure why the company's doing it. And then the fucking chuds are going to use, we know what angle they're going to take with it. You know what I mean? And it's just sucks. It just fucking sucks that that's the way it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we don't know what's gonna happen, but it's worth remembering that the MCU started. What was it in 2011?
2008.
2008. Okay, so it went through one Trump presidency already.
Yeah,
and seemed to have weathered it pretty well. Their main goal is to make money, obviously. And if they think that they're going to make more money by making conservative movies, then that's what they're going to do. And I think that's what people are worried about.
Mark has
I would fully... What's Mark's point?
No, you finish what you're saying. Sorry.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I fully expect Disney to bend the knee, as will every other corporation, if even a smidgen of pressure is placed on them.
But why though?
Because they're run by billionaires who are already all lining up to bend the knee. You know.
Okay. I mean, Disney. You know, Disney did not. I mean, they went to fucking court. They went to battle with Ron. Fucking what's his name? Over the.
Well, the governor of Florida. The governor of Florida is not the president of the United States. Those are different. Those are very different entities. Like Disney, in Florida law, has some very special provisions for itself cut out in that state's law.
Well, let's see what they. You know, I don't like the idea of just calling who's going to bend the knee ahead of time. I really don't. I just think it's, you know. I'm
not saying they will. It just will not surprise me if they do. And I think it's more likely they will than they will.
Excellent point by pointing out that the X-Men, some of the most popular mutants, are the diverse ones.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but the
leader Canadian strongman Wolverine. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. Wolverine is a white man. Scott Summers is a white man.
He's Canadian. He's fucking diverse. He's short too.
Yeah,
okay? The short king.
Yeah. I mean, the leaders of the team can all be white men, and because this is how it was. This is what the conservative.
If they have more than one team and one of the leaders is not Storm, that's that's fucking stupid. They're not going to do that. I don't believe that Kevin Feige would do that. It's not like Kevin Feige's losing all fucking creative ability. By the way, have you watched Creature Commandos?
I have.
I mean, James Gunn doesn't give a fuck, dude. He doesn't give a fuck who won the election. And if Warner Brothers do that, what do you think the MCU is going to let? Because it's important to remember that the MCU is a very distinct thing from Disney. They are owned by them, but they are not fucking like, they don't call the creative shots for the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying there's a way that Marvel could have its cake and eat it too here, right? Because what conservatives want, it seems, if they want to allow diversity in media, is they want all of the diverse characters to be playing second fiddle to the white male lead. So if Disney makes X-Men movies where Wolverine, Scott Summers, Professor X are the leaders and clearly are the leaders, then all of the diverse characters can have their moment in the sun, and they presume everyone will be happy about this. So there's a way to thread that. They might think if they do it that way, that there's a way to thread that needle. I think they're wrong, and people will be mad about it anyway. And
let me tell you what I see.
People are going to be shit on anyway.
X-Men comics. In the last several years, there's been a lot of effort to put Storm front and center and make her fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
Including
as
right
there
now,
should be.
Yep, including right now, she's got her first ongoing series, solo series. And she's also been recently made, guess what? An Avenger. She's replaced Thor as the Thunder God on the team. Okay. And then, you know, it's pretty clear that they're pushing her as she deserves to be pushed. She's always been a fan favorite character. She's never had the same push to Phoenix too. Yeah. The same push that, you know, a lot of other characters that are fan favorites have had. It's a good thing she's finally having it. And she's unashamed fucking, you know, badass. I love it. I fucking love Storm. Fucking like her fucking all of her stuff in the Krakoan era is fucking phenomenal, man. Like she literally becomes one of the most badass characters there is. But Moon Girl was a Disney show. There's no, yes, it's a Marvel product originally, but there's a reason why nobody talks about Moon Girl prior to this, because it's a little kids Disney show. And people equating it to a Marvel product when it's really only that, you know, in you know, branding, like its original branding only. Like Moon Girl doesn't really show up in the comics. I know of one comic and I read a lot of Marvel in the last several years, that she was like kind of a main part, and that was in Tom Taylor's the one where the lights went out and everything, and it's like the whole world lost electricity forever. She was in that. But other than that, it's not like she's like a major part of. I'm not saying she shouldn't be. I'm just saying that there is a distinction between her and what's in her brand and whatnot, and her show, and what goes on in anything else that's Marvel Studios related or Marvel Studios produced. Yeah, that wasn't even continuity. I will fucking finalize this by saying they should release that fucking episode, and probably the rest of them too. But I mean, if there's however many there are, but the Gatekeeper should be released officially.
Yes, absolutely.
Although I did express my concern that it would just become fodder for chuds. I believe it probably would. We see videos left and right about that fucking show. You know,
but that would happen anyway. That would have happened no matter who won the election, and it's going to keep happening. There's no way to avoid that happening.
The difference is if it stays content or if it becomes action that people take because they feel emboldened by who's in power.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Like I said, they're sore winners. The Trump people are being bullies all over the place. So
they're, you know, we did a stream about it before the fucking election. MAGA is violence, man. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're violence. That's what it is. That's what they want. That's what they're going to do. Maybe it is kind of wise to at least consider not giving them ammo sometimes, even though they're going to find ammo regardless. It doesn't mean somebody has to be the one to give it to them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is what fascism does, man. It fucking puts us in these positions, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think it would be, I think people who might be upset about the Moon Girl episode being a sign of cowardice on Disney's part should disavow themselves of the notion that Disney was ever going to be anything other than rainbow capitalism. You know, that
if you think that Disney's waking up to and deciding what shows they're going to put on the air based on cowardice or bravery, I don't know. You don't know how money works.
Well, I think they might do it because of cowardice, but they won't do it out of bravery. Money and cowardice are more powerful incentives than bravery is. Courage always costs you something, or always risks you costing something.
That said, I, as a fan of the MCU, am going to choose to hope, not without reason, not blindly, not just like, oh, I'm stupid, I just take whatever you shovel in my face, but because I understand how Kevin Feige works, I understand how the studio tends to work, I'm going to choose to believe that they're going to give us a nice twist on the nostalgia thing, and they're not just going to give us fucking, here's the nostalgia, love it, you remember these guys, you love them, oh, he shows up and the music plays, no, it's going to be Stevel. It's going to show up. Dr. fucking Stark Doom. And people are going to be like, what the fuck? And then they're going to fucking fuck up all the Avengers for a while. And that's probably how the movie's going to end. It's going to end on a cliffhanger, like fucking Infinity War.
Yeah. There's a lot of good aesthetic and narrative and symbolic fodder there, because if you make the story about the current crop of Avengers having to fight the evil version of the original movie Avengers, that's a whole passing the torch generational revolution theme you could work into that story. really easily.
I mean, there's a theme of, we know that you loved these figures and these ideas that that these characters represent, but what if they aren't what you thought they were, or they've been co-opted, which is exactly what the Secret Empire event was about. Was Captain America as a symbol for America that had been co-opted, and a lot of people didn't realize it, and they blindly just followed that symbol, even though it was fucking corrupted.
Yeah, and maybe the point will be, we know you love these characters and these actors, but it's time to let them go for good.
What are you talking about? In-game's fucking color correction is fucking phenomenal, baby. It's fucking phenomenal. What do you say? Fix your fucking TV. How about that?
Do we have an end game hater in chat? What?
Out of here. Come on now. Come on. All right. Yeah, I guess that's about it. That's all we got for this one. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks for being here twice, guys. I wanted to do a stream calling out some chuds on the scam, and I wanted to do a stream talking about some fan stuff. And look, I don't know. I doubt,
Mark, I doubt they'll make him play the Human Torch again.
Send some love to Morgan, some good vibes to Morgan. Morgan can be with us today, and we wish she could, but things come up and things happen, and sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes life is stupid, and right now life is very stupid for a lot of people, and it's going to get stupider, and it's very scary, and we will. I don't know what else to say. I feel like a dumbass, but
yeah, I second all of that. Everyone send love, good vibes, thoughts and prayers, whatever you do for Morgan, and hopefully she can be with us next time.
Yep, and the no Shillcast for the rest of the year, by the way, if anybody's wondering. We're going to be doing some recordings probably. Shillcast will probably return. We'll return after the new year. Might have a new name or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna have a new regular panel co-host with Chariot, and hopefully we'll get some rotating guest panelists going on. That's really what I want to see happen. But
maybe one day I'll be one of them.
Maybe
if I can get a day off from work.
Let's see. I was going to show. Yeah, I don't have anything.
Oh, I will point out. I will call out. I'll plug something I have coming up. I did I filmed a reaction to the Critical Drinkers movie. I watched it all the way through, filmed myself watching it, and doing a real-time reaction to it. And I'm going to be releasing that in the style of those, first time watching reaction videos where everyone in the thumbnail is going, in front of a frame of the movie or something. And that should be coming out early next week, Monday or Tuesday, probably.
Fuck yeah. Looking forward to that. I can't wait to see how you react to the little girl that shoots Critical Drinker. She aims at his nuts, but blows. No, not gonna spoil it.
Well, we reacted to that a little bit on the last stream we did together, but this time I saw it in context. And it doesn't make any more sense.
I was going to say, it's probably better that way, right? No?
Right. But I went into it thinking, okay, in fairness to the Critical Drinker, maybe this will be better if I see it in context. And
it was, right?
It was not. No.
Oh, fuck.
It makes less sense, I think, than just watching it blind.
All right. Well, I'm going to, I'm going to play this We Just Want Good Stories video again, I think. I just feel like playing it again because it's fun. And other than that, hit like and subscribe. Be sure to head over to Bob of the Old Ways and hit subscribe on him if you haven't. He feels it. He'll feel it in his loins if you hit that like and subscribe. He'll be like, ooh.
I'll feel it so hard.
Is it based on a true story about him? Hey, we don't know. That's not what. Hey, legally, that's not what happened. Okay. But I did raise the question of, is Mahler the little kid that Critical Drinker beat up, who just Critical beat him up, and then Mahler recognized, oh, I am now subservient to you. You've dominated me, sir. I shall be at your beck and call. I shall defend you anytime anyone says a cross word. Is that what happened? Probably not, but it could be. We don't know. We don't know.
I shall be unbridled for you, sir.
Yeah, you have bridled me. And so every time he makes a video like that, he's like, "Oh, drinker, can I be unbridled long enough to review this movie?" I guess so. Go away now. He's like, "Oh, yay, I'm unbridled." Bye.
Bye.
I made a video listing 30 of my favorite comics you. For this video, I wanted to try and extend an olive branch to those people who have commented criticizing my takes, my channel in general. I admit, I have a very difficult time seeing most of the points guys in Comicsgate, the Fandom Menace and stuff like that. I struggle to see their points as valid, because most of it simply doesn't match reality. But the most common criticism that I've gotten in response to my criticisms of Comicsgate, the Fandom Menace, etc., it's a pretty universal and uncontroversial statement. And since we agree on this statement, I hope we can work together to make the media that we love just a little better. We just want good stories. This one statement, I don't think a single person would disagree with. So, let's get some good context and ask, how can we make sure that we only ever get good stories?
Forced adversity.
Woke agenda.
Pro SJW feminist fans of Birds of Prey.
Trash, woke trash movies.
Kurtzman hates Doomcock.
First, I kindly ask that you hit that old likey. I really hope you do. Already in. I'm also going to begin right. Hit the bell for no help would be. We just want good stories. Who can argue that? Who doesn't want good stories? In fact, I'd go further and say we want great stories. So since we're all in agreement, I believe we can form a sort of coalition of advocates and activists, all sharing the same goal. I'm a solutions-based guy. I'm compelled to solve problems when they arise, especially when it comes to fiction that I love, and have loved all my life. Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Star Trek, these are the pillars of my fandom, and I don't want to see these corporations put bad stories out and kill these franchises. So, I came up with an action item list.
Make these your primary action items.
Kind of an agenda, if you will, that I believe could get us to our goal. First, we have to determine, what is a good story? Some say a good story is defined by how well told the story is, or how tangible do the characters feel? Is the pacing entertaining? Is the dialogue dramatic, yet realistic? I think we all want these. But now we have to define what well told means. The logical thing to do, I believe, is to look at consensus, right? Majority rule and all. So if the consensus on, let's say, Birds of Prey, the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, is that critics and audiences rated it as above average, can we claim that as objectively good storytelling? Sure, if we base it on majority alone, but what of the others who thought less of it? The 22% of critics and 22% of audiences who thought it was awful. Are they simply wrong? And if they're wrong, does that negate our claim of objective goodness being a thing? Or is it the majority that's wrong? Maybe the majority is lying. I suppose you'd have to concoct some bizarre conspiracy theory about paying critics and I guess audiences to lie about their experience with the film. That's kind of silly, but I don't think any rational person would make such a claim with zero evidence. So would a film or book or show or comic need to be rated 100% or a perfect 10 to be considered good? Well, let's look at the two most commonly used resources for scoring films, IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Not only are their highest rated films very different from one another, not a single film on either list has been rated a perfect 100% in Rotten Tomatoes' case, or a perfect 10 in the case of IMDb. Now, I personally would rate Shawshank Redemption as a perfect 10, and many others probably would too. But on IMDb, it's only a 9.4, so what does that tell us? That there's a few troublemakers out there trying to tarnish Stephen King's flawless record of book-to-movie adaptations? Maybe a cult of weirdos who believe Tim Robbins is the Antichrist. We can't be certain who these villains are, but I assume that once we enforce good stories, and only good stories, those people will be rounded up and put against the wall. That's a problem down the road that we'll have to address in a most brutal fashion. The next logical question is, what mechanism would we install to gauge the quality of stories? How will we decide the parameters for good stories? I'd say we need some kind of council, endowed by the government with the power to measure the worth of stories before they ever see the light of day. This would prevent a single bad story from ever staining our minds and taking precious moments from our finite life.
Thank you. Thank you.